What is going on, everybody? I'm Mark Conway with Midwest Horror Network, bringing you the Nightmares Podcast after a very long hiatus from Nightmares Podcast because we were busy doing the October 2020 special for Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. We were very happy to give you that. And I hope you all had a fantastic Halloween. And we are back to our regular podcast.
The regular old shindig.
Indeed. I got the usual suspects.
Zach.
Brandon.
Of course. And today we're going to do something a little different. I know a lot of times we talk about movies and music, other things of pop culture in horror. But I came up with another idea that we're going to get a chance to talk about maybe urban legends, ghost stories, things we grew up with, things we heard, throughout our entire lives. Maybe local legends or local stories or whatever the case may be is. I thought it would be a nice little cool change pace. Something a little different away from what we normally do. So, Big B-Man, since I was hosting, I get to pick who goes first. So, you had a pretty cool story, so figured I'd...
Well, before I go first, are you sure you want me to go first? Because it's not really a ghost story. It's something different. So I don't know if you want to go first. That's a little close. That's a little closer to what you actually want to talk about, or I can still go first if you want me to.
Yeah, go.
I just want you to know that it's a little different.
That's fine.
A little very different.
They have kind of a little bit.
Well,
now I
Kind of a little very different.
No,
Yes.
well now I need to know. I mean, this. Hold on.
These were the words he chose.
And just to specify, I'm leaving it open to urban legends and stories that are
I realize that.
that kind of type of thing. So now I have to hear it. So
All
go
right,
ahead.
So I'll go first then. So I don't really have any stories that I grew up with, at least none that I remember. But what I do remember is when I was a teenager, like maybe 13 or 14, probably 13. My mother booked a ghost tour for us.
All right.
And it was around one of like the neighboring cities, and so we went there, and the guy basically split us all up into two groups. So it was like one group went with another guy, and then me and my family went with this guy. And so he sort of brought us to these couple buildings around town and told us some ghost stories about them. I don't remember what they were, but I do remember there was one where he brought us out to like this, it was a park, I think. It was like a field or a park, but we were by this tree, and he was like, yeah, and people say that if they hold their arm out like this, they'll get a tingling feeling. And I'm just like, if you hold your arm out like that long enough anywhere, you're going to get a tingling feeling.
True.
And it was after that, my family decided, let's just bounce. So we left the tour group. Not the end of my story.
All right.
But wait, there's more.
Oh yes, there is.
There's more.
So this ghost tour guy, it turns out he actually took my mother's credit card information and stole her identity.
Well, shit.
That's a horror story in and of itself.
Yeah, and this is like in the somewhat early days of the internet. Like this would have been like 2003-ish, give or take a year or so. So the internet was around, people were using it, but it is nowhere near what it is today. So yeah, what happened was he bought a whole bunch of stuff with her credit card, and then there is also, at the time, my mother actually had a PayPal account. And so I don't know how long PayPal's been around, but I'm sure this was, and it's like earlier
The
days,
earliest
of course.
of early.
Yeah, so what happened was he bought something with her credit card information with PayPal, but he didn't realize that she already had a PayPal account. So the order confirmation got kicked back to her email. And so when he realized that, he sends my mom like an email or something. It was like, why did you send me all this money? And my mom's just like, no. And yeah, she actually called the police on him because like I don't remember like how much the guy racked up, but and I don't think there was really much the police could do, even though we knew who it was and everything. And even like one of the her computer guy at the time, when he was looking over her computer over something, I think maybe unrelated or something, he found that the ghost tour guy's website put a Trojan on her computer, which is how we got all the information. So this is like early computer virus, early PayPal, like early identity theft, all that stuff.
What a scumbag.
Yeah, I do believe my mom got all the money back.
Okay.
Thankfully, I think. And like I said, years ago, much younger than I am now, so I'm sure there are other smaller details that I'm unaware of, but yeah, the guy was a slime ball. And it's like, I wish I could remember the name of the tour, because like I wonder now that I'm saying this story, because I haven't thought about this in years. I'm wondering if his website is still up. Probably not.
Probably not.
He's probably long dead, I hope.
Damn. Maybe there's a ghost tour for his ghost tour.
Yeah.
The Yo Dog.
But yeah, it's I remember my brother did not go on the tour. It was me and my two parents. And so when my mom showed my brother a picture of the guy on the website, my brother's like, he looks like the kind of guy that would do this.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, that is my family's ghost tour story.
You know what's funny? I figure with you growing up in a smaller town, you would have had like more like
urban legends, ghost stories, like
urban legend stories.
Yeah,
and,
that's
creepy
like
stories. It's like
perfect. Yeah, it's like the perfect area for it.
Yes, small town Americano.
Yeah, nope. I grew up in the city. We didn't have shit.
I mean, we got plenty of stuff.
I mean, there's the freaking crocodiles in Humboldt Park, which didn't become real until recently, like 2 years ago.
Well, you see, the interesting thing about that is the Chicago Aqueducts, which like I can actually probably look it up on the internet to find out how true it is, but it's kind of fun of it being the urban legend that it is. That under Chicago they have giant aqueducts that go on for miles underneath the city, and there's God knows what the fuck is down there. There's all kinds of urban legends about what the hell's down there. You know, a whole race of mole people. You know,
mole people.
The mole people. Very much like Vegas, except Vegas is actually real. Like there's a whole society underneath Vegas that's like a bunch of homeless people, and they literally live in the dark all the time. There's a documentary on Vice way back in the day. It's on YouTube. Highly recommend it. But yeah, there were literally like fucking homeless people or mole people that live under the city. And like,
you mean the Chuds?
Silence for you, sir.
No, I was thinking it. I just didn't want to give him the satisfaction.
But yeah, there's actually legitimate like a whole race of homeless people underneath the city of Las Vegas, and a lot of people talk about like all the aqueducts below Chicago. There's a lot of infrastructure from Chicago that they say is underground that was built before the Chicago fire. So Chicago fire wiped out a lot of shit. So it's a lot of, again, all urban legends. I have no idea if any of this is based in reality, but there's a lot of legends about shit that was left over from pre-Chicago fire era that, the people can't find.
That's a lot of primitive shit right there, though.
So 100%.
Like, most of that I would imagine would probably be caved in at this point.
Maybe not. And you got
to think with all the modern tech we have, with shit rumbling around while you're just building stuff, especially if it's in like the downtown or loop area, it's got to be either flooded due to the lake or caved in just because.
Well, the urban legend goes, obviously the crocodiles in the sewer. That's a big thing. But like the one urban legend is about the guy starting to walk into the aqueducts and then never seen again. They assume he died in there. And then that's where some of those legends about a whole group of people down there.
Where would you even enter that area?
They said it's somewhere like towards like Navy Pier and shit, like that whole area. But that's probably underwater now. But that's where a lot of that urban legend shit came from. that there was that there's that underwater underground city that has the aqueducts underneath
'Cause,
there.
I mean, I know we have a few like haunted spots, and there's that
Oh.
one graveyard and stuff. What is it?
Bachelor Grove.
Bachelor's Grove, but
And-
is it the graveyard where Capone is buried? Is that one that's like super haunted? I can't remember.
Oh,
I
I
know
haven't-
there's some story with that one. I just don't remember what the hell it was.
There's Resurrection's Cemetery, which is Resurrection Mary. You probably know about Resurrection Mary. That's a chick there's a place, there's an old dance hall. They still do like swing dancing there now. I gotta take Sarah. We've been all this fucking shit.
I was
that's
gonna
going
say, I can't do it now.
I can do it now, but when eventually that does change,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take her there because they do swing dancing and shit.
Okay.
And Resurrection Mary, and actually my nana told me about this before I'll tell you a funny story about that location, but my nana was telling me about urban legends, and Resurrection Mary is the story about a guy who was leaving a dance hall, and there's a girl in a white dress on the side of the road that he picks up, and she says, I'm looking to go home, and they would be talking, and then as soon as they pass Resurrection Cemetery, she would disappear.
Isn't that like the girl in white urban legend?
It's close to it, except the woman in white has more to do with infidelity, and like infidelity, and then also killing her children.
All those urban legends are variations of each other.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's 100 woman in white like urban
Probably.
legends or
There it is.
variations.
But the interesting thing is that it's a lot very documented. Like in a lot of it's always guys that I see this, and that kind of plays into that woman in white thing. And there have been several people who have picked her up, drove past Resurrection Cemetery, and then she disappears. I think one that she was telling me, my nana told me, was he was offering her a cigarette, and he literally turned. She said, I think she nodded yes, and he went to go and reach in to grab it, turn around, and then she was gone. So, and then as the story goes, that the first young man who picked her up and then went past, he got a little bit more information about her. Her name is Mary, and da 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 da. And he, I think he tracked down, she said her name, first name and last name, and he tracked down where she lives. And when he went to the door, the mom said that she's been dead for years. And there's a little bit of shit along with that. And I actually ended up there at the dance hall accidentally, without even realizing that I was there. I went there with a bunch of friends, and we arrived there, and it wasn't until like 6 months later that I actually realized that's the dance hall. And then Bachelor Grove is where all the crazy shit happens.
I've heard of
There's a
Bachelor's
bunch
Grove.
of different legends that are attached to that. Chicago has plenty of shit.
Yeah, no, Chicago has plenty of haunted spaces. I just
do
when it
the
comes to like
exit.
urban legends and shit.
We'll do the exit. The exit.
Oh, the fucking stairs or whatever.
Yeah. They closed up that whole side of shit, but I think like 3 people over the course of consistently 30 years separation have been murdered literally in the same spot in the same room upstairs. I think that area is shut off now.
No,
you can't
I
really get
remember
there.
when you went to go show me. Yeah, that whole area was just completely walled off or
Walled
whatever.
off. Yeah, they don't even allow
Yeah.
people over there. But
And I mean, hey, it's closed now, so the next owner. Well, I mean, how much longer till the time rolls around?
yeah, who knows? Who knows? There was plenty of Chicago legends that I had heard about. I think when I was in college, I went on a lot of ghost hunts and everything else. There was actually a paranormal group in my college.
I wish my fucking school had some a group or something like that. That would have been fucking fun.
The guy who was actually in charge of it was real serious. He wanted to get his own show on the Travel Channel and everything else.
Jesus.
He was very into it. And I just thought it was fun as a passing fun thing. When in the northern suburbs, they have Cuba Road, which is where a lot of the gangsters were buried back in the day. And a couple other cemeteries where we got recordings. It was fun. It's a fun thing to participate in.
Isn't there the place where the Valentine's Day Massacre took place? Isn't there a legend around that or something?
Yeah, there's a couple different things. People can hear screams and lights and all kinds of crazy shit there.
Where was that again?
It's probably not too far from here.
Really?
Yeah.
That wasn't in the Loop?
No, it was in the north side. the north side somewhere. You could probably look it up on your phone. It's not too particularly hard. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of legends. You know, the one actually like urban legend, and like it's become like it showed up in pop culture and like a couple like indie movies and everything else. But the one legend that I always heard of, and it was about this, and you know, I'm sure you guys have heard some variation of this. It's about a haunted house that was like an actual haunted house, like you know, the ones you go to on Halloween, that is so scary that you give money at the beginning and you make it up certain levels, and then they give you your money back if you actually make it up. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that legend.
I feel like I've heard of a place like that before, but I don't know of anything like that here.
It's just interesting that like you know that legend had started. You know, I had started, and there was never any evidence. Like, there's no way to prove it. Like, you could never find this place. Like, and people had different names. Some people claimed it was like the 13th floor, which is that's obviously
Clearly not.
Clearly not the case. But you know, but the funny thing is that they would always say that it had several different floors, and they would give your money back, and no one had ever made it to the top floor because it was that intense that people would never make it to the top. Which I always found interesting. You know, it was this cool story that nobody ever, you know, could ever confirm, but it was always something to talk about.
It's also like, what happens when you get to the top? Do you just go back down all willy-nilly, or do you actually have to traverse that shit again?
You know what? That was part of the mystery behind it, and I think that's where urban legends are fun, is because you know it doesn't really have to make sense logically. You know, there's fun steps to it. I mean, and yeah, you can shoot holes through it all day, but it is something interesting to talk about. Especially when, you know, you're 18, 19, and you're in college in between classes. You know, hey, you heard about that one haunted house? And, you know, yeah, I heard about that, you know. But it just a lot of bullshit back and forth. But it was fun. It's fun to, you know, to hear about things. You know, I'm surprised I never heard about any legends about neighbors being serial killers and shit, you know, like.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't feel like that's like a legend or anything. It's like, that's just a commonplace thing here in Chicago.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Do you think Johnson killed somebody? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting to you know, to think about those things and you know, hear stories and parties and everything else. But yeah, that was the one urban legend that I could think of that was really, really popular, was that whole haunted house thing of a house that never existed. And I think it got mixed in with like the movie Hell House. You know, that it was a haunted house where people actually died inside of it, and it kind of mixed and matched. But it obviously was completely debunked. But it was a fun thing to talk about.
That's fair. Yeah, one place I've always wanted to explore here in the city is that one abandoned hospital downtown, kind of like closer to like I think it's the south side. It's somewhere around the UIC area. You ever heard of it?
Yeah, there was some kind of hospital down there. I had heard about, you know, some things.
Yeah, I wanted to shoot one of my school projects in there, and that was the first time where I learned about liability insurance. My teacher, Mr. Wright, tried. He's just like, yeah, you should get liability insurance and all this stuff. I'm like, how the fuck do I do that? Here, just go to this place. They'll help you out. I go there. They're giving me all these costs and numbers. What do you need? Do you need a truck? Do you need this? I'm just like, what the hell? Just send me an estimate. I never called them back after that.
I know that that there was a sane asylum that is in Elgin that is actually supposedly haunted, but and it's still an active insane asylum, which is interesting.
Really?
Yeah. So like I like that's a double-edged sword if I ever heard one. Like literally a bunch of crazy people in the same building with the ghost of a bunch of crazy people.
Well, I'm sure that's a wonderful combination.
I'm sure they get along pretty well.
I imagine so.
Jimmy talked to me last night. Who's Jimmy? The dead guy on the ceiling. Jesus Christ, I don't get paid enough for shit.
Yeah, it was always interesting.
And it begs the question, are they the imaginary friends of the ghosts?
Oh, there's something to think about.
That's a Shutter Island scenario right there.
Yes, it is. You know the funny thing is, I actually was gonna tell you guys because this is appropriate, but the one thing I always found interesting is every time that there's ghost stories towards something, or you can find it on the internet. You can, if there's some kind of a legend towards it, you can find it on the internet. Like it's 100% you
More
can
than
find it on the
likely.
internet. The funny thing is that when I was in Dallas, the fucking hotel was haunted, and it was also creepy because it was like a compound.
Was it a hotel that had its own 1408, or was it one where there's just a whole floor that's just haunted and you're not allowed to go to it, to the point where you get halfway down the stairs, it's like, shouldn't there be a door here? But it's just a wall that looks oddly placed.
Or is it just that windows slam and doors shut and such?
That's very simple.
And handles turn, and
Yeah.
and noises happen. This and that.
Wuss stuff.
It was interesting because we would hang out there until 1 in the morning, midnight, and there'd be all kinds of crazy shit that would just happen. A lot of lights would go off and on and flicker when clearly during the day they do not, and alarm clocks would just randomly turn on that were never set, which I just loved. Like it got to the point like when it went past scary into annoying.
I was going to say, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like pranks by the hotel guys. It's just like, all right, we really need to keep this gimmick alive.
You know what? And that's the funny thing is that we went on the internet and looked for things, and there was no story, nothing about this. It was the Dallas-Fort Worth like Verizon Convention Center area, and it was owned by.
Maybe it was just a crappy hotel.
Well, I mean, it certainly was. There was a lot of crazy shit. Phones would go off in the middle of the night, like for no reason at 3 a.m, and there would obviously no one at the other end. Alarm clocks would go off, and I would walk into my room in the middle of the day, and to go pick up something from my room, and the alarm clock would be on. I remember, and there is one specific room way down at the end of the hotel that has like a small door that is adjacent to an old room that no one stays in anymore, and lights would randomly turn on in that other room, and wake people up. I had one buddy that like at 3 a.m, somebody was banging on his window outside, and I mean like there's really like. Usually when you have like just one person, like you can tell the difference between mass hysteria and specific stories. Like everyone had a different story, but it all had the same through line. Like I dealt with this light went off. I had my phone fly off the fucking bathroom
Sink?
Thank you.
Words, Mark. Use them.
Dozens of times, and either there's something with moisture that makes it slide off, or there's something else. I have no idea. And it happened like twice or 3 times over the course of a month.
You sure it wasn't one of your 1 foot in the tub scenarios?
No, it was not. It was not that at all. It was interesting. It was interesting to hear a bunch of crazy stories from different people having different experiences, but a lot of that came back to that one room that lights would just turn off. And somebody in that room, lights would turn off in the other room, flicker on and off. Alarm clocks would go off full blast at 3 a.m, and they had never set their alarm on the alarm clock. I never had anybody try to unplug it though and see what happens.
I was just about to suggest that. It's just like, why the fuck didn't anybody just unplug the alarm clock?
But that's the thing with these things, with urban legends and ghost stories. Like it scares us, but I think part of us like wants it to continue to see how far it can fucking go.
No, I'm that guy who's just like, all right, I'm just gonna unplug this. Try me now, motherfucker.
You're the one who'd just be like, make the walls bleed again.
Now, see, if it did that, then I'd be like, yo, can you do that again? That shit was fucking awesome, bro.
And the ghost would just be like, no. And you'd be like, hey, I own this house. Make the walls bleed again.
I own you.
Fucking hell.
That was awesome. But yeah, I think that's part of the fun though, is seeing how far you can take it and see how far the story can progress.
I don't know. I feel like I'd be the guy from 1408. It's just like, yeah, that's bullshit. Here's a solution. Now, here's a question. For the guy who had his window banged on, what floor was he on?
First floor.
How many floors are there to the building?
2 floors.
2 floors. All right.
But you gotta understand though, like the compound that we were in, like it would have had to have been somebody staying there, not a staff member, but like actually staying there. And like it's a big, massive complex. Somebody would literally have to walk, half a city block from the front desk to his room to go bang on his fucking window. So like a lot of shit was really.
A lot of people have a lot of spare time these days.
I was gonna say,
I guess so.
Some people are dedicated.
I mean, if they're dedicated, but but it might be all bullshit. But like, I think that's part of the fun of it.
I would say if it wasn't for COVID, let's take a fucking trip and find out. Let's go to that specific room you're talking about. I want the full package.
They would not let you in the compound, because normal people can't stay there. It has to be an association with a company, unfortunately.
Association with it? Association with the Midwest Horn Network. There you go.
Yeah, not that bigger companies.
We are big
with very, very deep pockets. Anyway,
Well, we do have deep pockets. They're just empty, is all.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
That is very true.
We take bribes
For
now, at least.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, there were plenty of fun, fun legends to go across. But it's just, I think that's a part of the fun. It's just, it was just something to talk about. I'm surprised you didn't have more shit growing up in the city and hearing about crazy shit.
I mean, I never really ran into shit like that, which is kind of depressing. You would think with the shit that I love, I would, but no. Most of my friends just weren't into that type of stuff, and I didn't do much exploring until like my kind of later teenage years. So
I figured there would have been more to talk about here.
I mean, again, there's a whole bunch of places I'd like to explore now. Like, there's that one haunted. What was it? A prison or?
There's that haunted prison in Indiana that I've been wanting us to go to since forever.
Yeah, the one that you could stay the night at or something like that. Yeah, that sounds like fun. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I mean, as would I. That would be a blast.
I'll get my own cell.
Good luck. Zach lives here now. That's where he stays.
I'm gonna be the motherfucker who's
Better
haunting this
not.
place.
He pays half the rent here.
It's all right. Once you get into the prison, the ghost won't let you leave. And that's part of, there's plenty of things, and there's a whole industry behind that.
Oh yeah.
Ghost tours and stuff. I mean, there's one in Chicago where you can go on a bunch of different ones. Sarah went on one on New Orleans. Went into a bunch of haunted bars and went through a few graveyards that have been there since.
I feel like for New Orleans, that'd be pretty interesting because at least you get a good show. Here, it's just gonna be like, this is haunted because of this reason. We want your money.
Or you get a situation like mine.
Or steal your
money.
Or
you get like that. That's just, Jesus Christ. Yeah, fuck ghost tours. It's all bullshit.
Go on your own ghost tour.
I won't be taking another ghost tour.
I'll do the New Orleans one just because it sounds like it could be fun or interesting, and you may get a good show. But anything else, it's probably bullshit.
Well, the interesting thing though about Bachelor Grove, and I just thought about this too. There's actually all the people that like run security there, they're trained to, if they hear chanting, do not go and investigate, because Satanists actually go there to practice their religion there and do dark arts there.
And they just allow it?
No, it's not allowed. Like they say go, like, don't investigate, go call the cops.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of instances in Bachelor Grove where they will find literally the shit that we just did the episode on.
Fuck.
A lot of like people wearing masks and cloaks.
Spoiler.
Yeah, no, it's a little one. It's a little one.
Little titty bit.
Yeah, but there's a lot of a lot of those those stories about Satanists going there and doing their rituals and literally dressing like Eyes Wide Shut.
Lord, man.
There's been plenty of those.
Anyways, yeah, I've always wanted to see like a Satanist cult kind of do their thing, but also at the same time, I'm like, I know I'm gonna get screwed somehow if I do that. I'm too crazy for that shit.
And we were like, you're like, this is stupid.
You're gonna be like Bobby Hill in that one episode of King of the Hill when he starts hanging out with like the magic guys.
Oh God!
Did I show you that one?
Yeah, shit was cringeworthy.
I will definitely be watching that.
And they wanted Bobby to drink dog blood, and then as they're like chanting around him, he just kind of realizes, my dad was right. You guys are dorks.
Wow.
Dorks is a word. It's not the one I'd use.
So after like the whole thing with your mom and everything else, getting identity theft, you never went on any other ghost experiences
Nope.
or anything else. Never had the
Nope.
desire. Yeah, that got.
It's not like I'm jaded or anything.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, you sure about that?
I almost half didn't believe him. As he was saying, nope.
I'm not a cynical person. I try not to be.
Yeah.
You sure about that?
Okay.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah, and we did all the recordings too. We would put a recording on a tombstone and do the whole hey, is anybody here with us and all that shit. Vinny and I had a lot of time on our hands in college.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and then, we'd bring girls there, and and they'd be scared, and that's primarily what it was used for, hang out with girls, that's not how that works.
I'd be the only motherfucker taking this shit seriously. Yo, shut the fuck up! I think he just said his name is Johnson.
I'm trying to communicate with the spirit world, fucking ruining my vibe, man.
Turns out one of the girls is into crystals. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
One of those.
Uh-oh.
Look! Abort!
Danger close.
I'm crazy, but I'm not willing to go that far. Fuck!
Charlie was everywhere. Brandon's like, I'm done with both of you. As he is most of the time. He's shaking his head yes, but
Nodding.
Nodding that too.
You shake your
I'm
head
willing
no,
to
and you
talk
nod
to-
your head yes.
I'm willing to talk to ghosts, but when you start bringing crystals into it, I'm just like, nope!
I'm out. I'm out, madam. I am out.
I have seen where this leads. I'm not going down that road again.
These ones are $69.99, and the purple ones are buy one get one free.
Mark, did you know that The Heavyweights has a post-credit scene? And it's of Ben Stiller's character as a door-to-door crystal salesman.
I remember seeing the door-to-door salesman, but I did not remember that
It was healing crystals.
Get the fuck out of here. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
I was just watching it last night.
Oh my god, I love that movie so much.
Good
That is amazing. But the urban legends are fun, and it's become like this big thing now, like creepypastas. And,
Oh, yeah.
And when did that like really start? Like it must have been like 10 years
When did
ago.
No,
Less than that?
longer
More than that, I think.
Yeah, I would say at the very least 11 years ago, but probably even earlier than that. Because the earliest creepypasta I remember is Slenderman, and that shit happened when I was in high school.
What were some of the ones you remember hearing when you were?
The earliest creepypastas I remember, one was Slenderman, and two was the Russian Sleeper or experiment or whatever.
that one's rough.
That was a good one. I really like that one.
It's good, but it's rough. It's fucking rough to listen to. The one that's interesting though is the fucking what's that like the assassination number that you call you know what I'm talking about? Like,
I know
something organization.
I have not heard that one in fucking forever.
You know something funny? That's the 773 number.
Really?
It was either a 773 number or a 630 number. I'm like, that's fucking Chicago.
Yeah.
That's
the original area code for Chicago for
Yep.
as long as I can remember. 773.
The 312's been one. For a
312
long
I didn't
time.
start seeing until cell phones got into the picture.
Yeah, they had to expand that and everything else. What the fuck? Urban legend. It's like something collective. Like
No, I know. I just don't remember. That's an old one. I
you know,
just don't remember
the
what
funny
hell
thing
it was.
is that for the longest time I always wanted.
There's a few assassin organization ones out there. Fuck, I know which one you're talking about. I just don't remember what the hell it was called.
A very interesting thing. You would call it up, and then somebody would call you back. It's like part of like the creepy numbers. Creepy numbers. Numbers. I'm actually gonna look it up real quick because I'm curious. Oh yeah, I freaking forgot about wrinkles.
Wrinkles?
Oh my god, wrinkles. Yeah, I don't even know how true this is. Apparently, if you call the number, a creepy clown will come and stalk whoever. Like literally looks like that. I'm surprised you never even heard of
No,
that.
I can't say I've ever heard of Wrinkles.
It's fucking wild.
I feel like I vaguely heard of him.
It's an older one. It's an older.
And of course, every kid in the history of existence of the world would tell about Bloody Mary.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
of course.
for the fucking Bloody
Booth,
Mary.
Booth World Industries.
Booth World Industries.
Booth World Industries is a 630. It's a 630 number, or at least it was as of 2008. The whole thing, the whole creepypasta behind that was, if you call it, 630-2967536. If you call that number, Booth World Industries will say your number has been logged and filed, and then we'll contact you very soon. And people have been called back by it. And the whole urban legend, it goes that if you get essentially it's an assassin's number, and you get you can assassinate somebody or somebody that's close to you, and some guy in the legend accidentally assassinated his own fiance. So yeah, there's it's a whole big thing. What one were you thinking of?
Yeah, this guy, he finds this ad for Hitman or whatever, and he calls the Hitman and calls a hit on himself because his life is fucking boring and whatever. So he thinks it's a joke, but ends up finding out, oh shit, this is actually real. So he starts fucking with the Hitman. And it's like over the course of like a month or two, these guys are going back and forth trying to kill each other, and eventually he does kill the Hitman. But the company that the Hitman worked for needs a new guy, so they bring this guy on, and this eventually he becomes a Hitman, and fucking loves it and shit. So that was an interesting story. I fucking loved that. I thought it was great.
There's a lot of really shit that just never validate. The whole razor blades and candy for Halloween, and
that one I've heard some instances of being real though.
Yeah, but it turns out that the person that actually gave them the candy knew the people. It was like one of them was like their dad, and it was terrible. It was a terrible situation, but it was like somebody that they knew. It wasn't as random as a lot of people thought that it was, and it wasn't as widespread as people thought it was.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. But it was one of those things that did happen. Like, I know a lot of people are just like, that could never happen, or it's never happened. It has. It's not widespread, but it has happened.
Well, dude, I mean, the one big thing that we were famous for was the whole Tylenol killer, or a dude literally went into a bunch of Walgreenses and put arsenic in Tylenol. They never caught him. And that's why they put the seal labels on all pharmaceuticals now that you buy over the counter, because of that dude that was in there and killed a bunch of people in Chicago. Never solved.
Jesus Christ, when was this?
80s, in the 80s.
Okay, 80s.
Never solved it.
Wow.
But what were some of your favorites, Brendan, for creepypastas and urban legends?
I mean, like I said at the beginning, I don't really have any. It's not really something I've researched or come across that much in my life.
Oh, okay. I figured you would have listened to a couple of those recordings on YouTube and everything
Surprisingly, no.
You listen to any of the SCP organization?
SCP, no. What was the SCP?
So the SCP organization, Secure, Contain, Protect, and essentially...
Actually, I think my old roommate Jake had me listen to some of those back in college.
So
I don't remember any of them, but
there are
my friend Jake had me
these
listen to
things.
a few. I just don't remember them.
Yeah. So there's hundreds of these things. I don't know if it started off as actual stories or a game. I know the first time I heard about the SCP organization, there was a fan-made game of it, and essentially the first creature you come into contact with is a creature that's essentially like the Weeping Angels from what the hell is that show called?
Doctor Who?
Yeah. You have to constantly look at it, and if you blink, it gets closer, and if it catches up to you, it'll snap your neck in half. And it's like this kind of clay stone statue that has a face kind of painted on it, just with Crayola or whatever. It's not a human-like face, but it has kind of eyes, a nose, or whatever, if I remember correctly, and shit coming out of its back.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, looks very disgusting. But this thing, it's like a weeping angel. It can multiply, and it's a pain in the ass to deal with. You have to have multiple guards watching it at one time. Everybody has to call out, "You blinking?" "Yep, blink," blink, and stuff like that. And it's just a very secure location. There's a whole bunch of creatures and objects in this place. Like there's a bowl of candy with a little note card next to it that says, "Take 2 pieces and only 2 pieces." Now, if you take a third piece, both of your hands just mysteriously get cut off.
Jesus.
Yeah. There's a pair of 3D goggles or 3D glasses that allow you to see these interdimensional beings or whatever. There's a gas mask that if you put it on, you go to I believe it's a World War I era type field with a bunch of monsters running around. A whole bunch of cool shit. And the game is pretty interesting. I believe there's 3 or 4 games out there, all of different variations. They have the basic monsters in there, but there's a lot of cool shit in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's amazing how insanely fucking popular those things have gotten. The whole creepypasta shit and all the recordings that are on YouTube. I mean, Unit 355 and
Unit 355. There's about 5 or 7 people with the name Creepypasta in their name.
Creepy McPasta.
Yeah, he's a good one. One of my favorite my 2 favorite storytellers or whatever on YouTube are Corpse Husband. He doesn't post as much now because of health problems, which is sad, and Dark Somnium. Dark Somnium has the perfect voice for this type thing. It's great. It's not so soothing that it puts you to sleep. It's realistic. He puts sound effects in and everything. It's fucking awesome. Creepy McPasta or Mr. I can't remember what the fuck his name was.
Mr. Creeps.
Yeah. He has an okay voice for some of them, but others it's just eh.
I really like Mr. Nightmare and Unit 522.
Unit 522 is he's definitely up there.
I know Mr. Nightmare is the most popular one.
I don't know how. His is okay.
I think it's a lot.
There's a lot of okay ones.
I think it's a lot of it is because it's based on true stories.
Some of them are, some of them aren't.
I mean, it depends on how much you believe.
Yeah,
you believe in that whole situation, but depends. There's a lot of entertainment out there for that. Like I said, it's fun.
It's how I get through my work day. I put that shit on in the back and just go to work. It's great.
Yeah. Again, it's fun. It's fun to be a part of those things and see how far you can take it. Going on doing ghost experiences and shit, and scaring yourself and having a good time and laughing. Sure, yeah, a lot of it's bullshit, but but it's still fun. It's fun bullshit.
You're not wrong. Hell, I'd love to make movies on most of these friggin' stories. There's a lot of great stories out there that I'm like, this would make a good movie or TV show. SCP organization, I'm surprised nobody's turned that into a show yet.
Fair enough.
You put the budget into that thing would make millions, I swear to God.
Yeah, I know that there is a show that adapted a couple creepypastas called Channel Zero.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was on the Sci-Fi Channel and lasted 4 seasons, and I think it's all on Shudder now. It's I remember seeing it listed in an article that was better alternatives to popular horror shows, and it was if you don't want to watch American Horror Story, watch Channel Zero instead. So yeah, I've been curious about checking it out, and I've heard good things.
I was gonna say that sounds interesting. I've never heard of it before, but I would love to watch that.
Yeah, there was some writer Don Mancini, the creator of Chucky, was one of the writers for it for seasons 3 and 4, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, because if you have a show just based off creepypastas, there's so much material there, and you could go on for almost forever as long as you get the rights to a lot of these.
It's true, but though, I don't even know who the fuck owns the rights to half this shit.
I don't know how it would work.
I'm sorry, my mistake. He was a writer on seasons 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know how it would work theoretically because these are just stories on Reddit, so for the most part, or on creepypasta.org or
and that's how they became popular, because of Reddit.
Yeah.
The Reddit and 4chan, all these crazy stories that have appeared that people assume were true.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting phenomenon. It's almost like when the internet was fun. It was kind of this thing that people didn't have a full grasp and understanding about it. But it was good enough to easily maneuver around. But now it's kind of becoming stagnant. But back then, it was interesting. There was interesting shit going on in the background. So it was a perfect place to be rife with, with all these
simpler
stories.
and much nicer times.
Indeed, and I think we can leave it on that note. I don't really have a question for the podcast because this was kind of this was my question. So I think we can just do final wrap up thoughts and then end it.
All right. My final thoughts are, I wish I encountered more of this stuff as a kid so I could talk more. But sorry for my jaded experience.
It's okay. Hey, at least you have a story from a ghost adventure.
That's true.
I just want to explore more haunted locations with squirrels.
Yeah. Is it sure? I've been lucky enough to do a few fun things and go on a few ghost adventures and have and hear some cool stories and have some good times, and I think that's kind of what it's all about with a lot of these legends. They're supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be fun and see how far you can take it and push it and and see what comes out at the other end. So that concludes our first Nightmares podcast back. Very, very happy to be back. Of course, you can check us out on all of our social medias
such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and
Slasher.
And of course, you can listen to the audio version of this podcast anywhere where podcasts are found. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that great stuff. And if you could be so kind, if you're watching us on YouTube, smash that like button and stab that subscribe and click that little dingy bell to be notified every time we drop amazing content on the Midwest Horror Network. Thank you so much. We're so happy to be back. We will see you next time.